Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter that the family is not going to her wedding if she chooses that specific date? 2 years-ish ago, my brother, my nephew, and my mother were in a car accident. My mother died instantly. My brother and nephew passed away the next day. My family was small. Me, my husband, daughter, parents, brother, wife, and 2 nephews. Their loss was devastating for my life and for everyone, even worse for my father and my sister-in-law. 1 year ago, my daughter, Betty 25F, was proposed to by her fiancé and preparations began. During this process, they chose the date based on the day they met 7 years ago, and that day is exactly 2 years since the death of my brother and nephew. I tried to talk to her about moving because it is still a very difficult date for our family and even for myself, but she insisted, saying that the venue had that date available and it would be perfect because all the other available dates aren't so good and wouldn't be so important. I respected her decision. Recently, she sent the invitations to everyone, and as I predicted, my sister-in-law, my nephew 24M, and my father responded that they would not attend, and despite not telling her, my father and sister-in-law told me that the date choice was sound an offense to them. I decided to remain neutral at some point. I confirmed my presence and my husband. Today my daughter called me unhappy that no one but us confirmed. My husband doesn't have family on his side and her family part was empty, and she expected everyone to go on that date, even more so after she explained the reason to them about the date, but they still refused. I tried to be supportive, but I said, love, this date is difficult even for me, but I will go to your wedding. But you have to understand that this choice of date had this consequence, and you would have to deal with the consequences of your choices. She exploded at me, saying that everyone was against her. It's not her fault. The dates coincided and everyone could make an effort to go a few hours for her, but they decided to just not go. And I was basically saying, I told you so. She hung up without me answering, and we still haven't spoken. My husband said he understands me, but I should have stayed away from it. Am I the a-hole?
Here are the top comments.
Not the a-hole, I mean. You told her exactly why this would happen and she didn't listen. I think she was more upset in front of you and at you, if that makes sense. She's venting. But also kinda thoughtless to think that everyone would just swallow their grief to watch her get married on a really painful anniversary.
Not the a-hole. Either she picks a different day or should expect most of your family to not come. Personally, I'd have a hard time celebrating my wedding on the exact same day my grandma, uncle, and cousin died. The fact she's taken it this far is already gross, and she should hope it's not too late to change the date and beg for forgiveness.
Are there any rifts in the family that you haven't mentioned? I understand that your daughter is young and the date is important to her in a different way, but am I reading this correctly? She met her fiancé on the day her grandmother, uncle, and cousin died, and yet to her, it's only a happy day, and she would like her happiness to trump the sadness of her family. The same family she would like at her wedding. I find myself speechless. Your daughter is a monster unless I have misunderstood some details.